Hello, everybody. Old Buck Dave back again. This is back in Saint Omer, France, for another interesting interview. Today we have Jean-Luc Montois, who is the owner of the Palais de la Cathédrale. He'll say it better than I will. And we had the distinct pleasure of staying here last night. This is a house that's like a museum. It's spectacular in all the collections, the things that he's done, the collections that he's made to the place. So I'm going to first of all say welcome to you, Jean-Luc.
Thank you. I was very glad to welcome you here in the place because this is the goal of this place. It's a shared house, and it's a house of collector where you can have direct contact with everything.
So tell us a little bit about the history. You started telling me about the Freemasons, etc. So tell the listeners a little bit about the history of the place.
The history of the place had to be rediscovered, because originally it's a very ancient place. It has its foundations in the 10th century, so it was during a long time until the French Revolution. It was the property of the church, and then it was sold. It became a brothel during the French Revolution. And finally, in 1817, it was bought by a man who made his business during the revolution as a purveyor for the armies. He was also a banker, and he retired in Saint-Omer as he was seen at that time like a dangerous Republican when the kings of France, Louis XVIII, came back to his throne. So he decided to employ a team of craftsmen and women, British craftsmen and women, to build up something which is absolutely unique, because it was supposed to be at the same time his house. And it was also a place used for the initiations to different types of, how can we say, discreet or secret societies.
And tell us a little bit about the Freemasons, and you showed me the inlays in the floor, inlays in the walls. Tell us a little bit about that.
What we must understand and we must realize is that the Freemasonry, as we know it in America and in Europe, was very different at the time. In the 18th century, there were a huge number of different tendencies in the Masonry. Some were very Christian, some were more into the changement of the society, some tried to reconnect with a sort of common, basic religion, and they were, in fact, collecting a lot of traditions, and the house is really a good example like that, because you have some elements of the decor that come from Egyptian traditions, some from Christian traditions, some that you would find in the Middle East or even in Asiatic countries. First of all, it refers to the common patrimony of signs and symbols. So that is the idea with decor. You can't say that you have the right interpretation of decor, because as they are symbols and as they make some chains of connections between each other, everyone can have his own reading of the place. But it's what is interesting is that everything is displayed. It looks like a gorgeous, beautiful Regency-style house with an extraordinary, well-conserved decor. But it's a sort of charade. You need really to analyze every element, and everything can be also ambiguous, have a double meaning. Like grapes can be symbol of Christ, or it can be symbol also of Jesus, and you will find a lot of things like that.
And in addition to that, you bought the place 5 years ago, is that correct? And you brought your incredible collection into this place, and I'm guessing you've added since you got here. So tell us a little bit about your collection?
The first thing I would say about collection is never start one, because it's a nevrotic disease, really. But in fact, I traveled a lot in my career, so I collected a lot of things from different civilizations and countries. Happily for me, I never had too much money, so I was not one of these buyers who goes to big fairs of antiques or to big antiquaries. I had to look for the objects, and in fact, what I can say is that I collected everything which was out of fashion at the right moment. So, for example, at the moment, if you buy these wonderful Louis XV seats, it will cost you less than a seat made in plastic at IKEA. So there is always an opportunity to collect something, and it's much more easy now because you have internet. All the auction houses in the world are connected to internet, and you can bid everywhere. So really, you can spend hours per day looking to that and trying to find it. It's just like a quest.
Well, it's been quite a quest that you've been on, for sure, and it really shows. I mean, you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the collection and into the building. It's taken. I can see you've put a lot into this place. So, what does the future hold for the Palais?
Yes, the thing is that the Palais was conceived as a place which was complementary to museums. In the museums, you go and you receive knowledge in the museums. Here, you practice things. So you are in direct contact with the seats. If you never experiment the difference of sitting in an Empire chair and in a Louis XV chair, then you miss something, because it gives you a posture to your body that is made for conversation or for retirement. And it's the same with the porcelain. We have a gigantic collection of porcelain. So we wanted really to make of this place a place where a group of youngsters could come and have a dinner with the best china from 18th century, wonderful silver, and be around the table, 24 around the table, what they never do anymore. And I must say I'm very thankful to Netflix, because due to programs like Bridgerton, Downton Abbey, or Queen Charlotte, we have a lot of visitors who come here and have the feeling that we are sort of actors living in a sort of wonderful decor. But no, it's a house. My dog lives here. We are 3 in the house. And we welcome like 500 people per week. So it's a place where you can really see and share art. You can stay. So the future of that place is probably developing even more with the new owners that will arrive in November. The 4 senses dimension of the place. You can't really here approach the art of cooking, except if you bring your food for organizing a dinner party here in the house. But we would like to offer the opportunity to a young couple. I would like to offer a place where you could come, read a book, drink a tea, eat a cake, pastry, or have a dinner party for a very reasonable price. We would like to have that here, because and we will leave a big part of the collection to them, that they can continue to use these porcelains and objects.
That's great. It's regular people can come in here and experience it, and you ought to see the dining room table that he has. It goes on forever, and it's set with the finest china, and people can come in here and have a nice dinner. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So listen, I want to thank you very much, Jean-Luc, for your kindness, for your hospitality, and for the tour of the place. It's been wonderful. We'll put a link to your website in the show notes so people can take a look at this. Yes. And hopefully people can come over and see it. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming here. It was always a great pleasure to. We had wonderful discussions. So I wish you a lot of happiness in the rest of your trip to Europe. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jean-Luc Montois, for letting us visit your beautiful, beautiful home and palace. Next, as I continue the Culture Club segment of 2 Bucks, I'm going to give you an interview with Romain Saffre, who is the curator at Musée Saint-Delin, Sandenlin, in Saint-Omer. Again, this is an incredible collection that this museum has in the town of Saint-Omer. It's quite vast. It's quite varied, and it's organized into different eras, and it includes furniture, artwork, ceramics, glassware, pipes. Saint-Omer was the number 2 pipe maker, ceramic pipe maker back in the day. So let's listen to see what Romain has to say about his museum. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Old Buck Dave again. This is an ultra special 2 Old Bucks episode. I am in the town of Saint-Omer, France, as promised. And on our first morning here, I was given a terrific tour of the Musée Saint-Delin by Romain Saffre. Close enough? Saffre. And he did a great tour for me, and I really appreciated it. I'm going to ask him a few questions about the museum, and I think you'll enjoy a few minutes with Romain. So Romain, welcome to the 2 Old Bucks. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Welcome.
So first question is, how did this museum begin? What was the origin of this?
The museum began in 1829 when the local agricultural society decided to create a collection. Originally, it was very different than what we can see today. It was a collection of natural history and anthropology from all over the world. You had pieces from Oceania, North America, Africa. It was very diverse. It's only in the course of the 19th century and above all in the 20th century that paintings, sculptures and furniture arrived in the museum. The 2 main dates are 1899 at the death of Henri Dupuy, who was the greatest collector of Saint-Omer in the time, who gave his entire collection and his house to the town. For the 50 next years, his house didn't move, but after this time, most of the artworks came to Saint-Lin, and that's what we can see today. The other very important dates, in fact there are 2, it's in the 20s and the 30s of the 20th century, is the donation of the collection Dutheil, a very great collection of the 19th century, with very beautiful French paintings from the 18th and the 19th century, furniture from the Louis XV, and other very marvelous things like our Ribera, for example. So after all of this, the museum created a collection of archaeology, anthropology, natural history, and painting and sculpture.
So thank you. You have the museum is separate rooms, separate collections, which represent different things. Could you tell us about some of the different collections? And also, I'm interested in what do you think are your rarest, your most precious things in the collection? I have my idea what might be, but you're the expert, so I want to hear from you.
Sure, it's normal. Everyone has his own idea of what is the masterwork. In the museum, the greatest collections are paintings from France and Flanders, furniture from 16th and 18th century, ceramics, weapons, sculpture from medieval monuments, and so on. But it's presented with two axes. One is the house of the 18th century and this use at the time of the contest, Sunderland who founded it, and also the inner of the collectioners of the 19th century. So it's the first one in which we presented the furniture, painting, sculpture, and a lot of the artworks. Notably, we have an Asiatic salon, an Asiatic room, I mean, which is one of the main piece of the museum. The other and the bigger one is consecrated to the history and the artworks of Saint Omer. So it's an exploration of the history of Saint Omer thanks to the artworks and all the objects of the collection. We begin with this military history, with the weapons, the central roles of the religious institutions to the creation of the city, because it's not an antique city. It was founded in the medieval era around a monastery, and it was developed around during the Merovingian and Carolingian era, and it began only a city in the 12th century, so it's very late regard to the other city of the region. In these pieces we have some marvelous artworks, above all the gold works, like the crosswood of the 12th century, which is considered from the beginning as our masterwork of all. It's absolutely unique in the world, and one of the most beautiful of this type in the 12th century, with the sculpture, the enameled plaques. It's absolutely beautiful. But we have also a great cross, a bit more recent. It's 50 years. It was made 50 years after, which is very rich with gemstones from Roman era, and also much older as the cornelian from the Indus Valley of the 3rd century before Christus.
Now that would have been my guess for the most the rarest, the most special, that cross with all the gems on it. So that's right up there. Right?
Yes, that's one of the most beautiful and very rare artworks. And then in the exhibition we have an evocation of the everyday life with some very beautiful artworks too, like these paintings of this Dutch painting of the baptism of Christ from the 16th century. And then we can see some remains from the city hall, which was a marvelous medieval era building with a staircase from the 14th century. It was absolutely unique in Europe, but it was destroyed in the 19th century to build a new building. But some sculpture from it are exposed nowadays in the museum. And then we go on with ceramics from the north of France, and above all Saint Omer, which was a great producer in this time. It's incredible to see the diversity of the type of ceramics we were creating this time. And the Museum Sunlight is obviously the best place to discover them. And then we finish with the artists from Saint Omer of the 19th and 20th century, with above all paintings and some sculptures. My favorite one is François Chifflard, who painted historical scenes. His characteristic is violent scenes. I think he had some psychological troubles in his life, but his painting is very strong and interesting for that.
Now this is maybe a little bit humorous, but what about the people that are getting their heads cut open for getting the stones taken out of their head? Tell us a little bit about that.
About the stone of the city hall?
Where they were getting that.
The stone of the cross, sure. As I said, this cross is a richest of all this type of cross. The biggest collection of it today is in Al-Namur, but the director of Namur considers that our cross is the most beautiful. So I can take it without hesitation. And you have gems from the Roman era. I mean, we can know it because the way they were ordered and engraved is typical from this time and was not used in the medieval era. You have also much older stone. The oldest known is cornalline. It's an orange stone, which was carved in the Indus Valley in the 3rd or 4th millennium before Jesus Christ. And it's incredible to imagine that this stone was used as a jewel for all this time until the creation of the cross at the beginning of the 13th century.
Yeah, that's amazing when you think that how long that stone has been a stone for display and the life that it's had. It's just incredible. It's incredible. Tell us a little bit about, you showed me a big layout of the city, and you said the city, there were many churches in the city, and many of them are gone now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. We have a very interesting map of the city on the middle of the 17th century, in the time in which the 2/3 of the city belonged to religious institutions. I mean, abbeys, churches, university, colleges, and today it's amazing to imagine that all this part of the city belonged to them, and to see how few remains today. Among all the 30 churches, 28, we can see on the map, only 4 remains today. I mean the cathedral, Saint Sepulchre, Saint Denis, the Jesuit chapel, and also some ruins of Saint Bertin. So it's very little.
Was that typical for towns to have that many churches, or is there something special about Saint Omer that had so many churches in such a small area?
This situation is absolutely normal for the time, because after the medieval era, a lot of abbeys constructed institutions inside the city in the north of France to escape to the wars. So it was for them a way to survive. And in Saint-Omer, which was a border city for 2 centuries, all these abbeys constructed inside the city, so it's normal.
Another thing that I found pretty amazing is this museum is not a government-run, government-funded institution. It's all the blood, sweat, and tears of all the people that have been committed to this over the years. Tell us a little bit about how it got to be where it is today.
The museum soundly respect to his huge collection is an exception in France, because the greatest museums were founded after the revolution with confiscations and all the artworks were sent by the state. In Saint-Omer, it's not the case. It was founded by a private association at the beginning of the 19th century and enriched by private people. I mean, for example, the Historical Society, all these donators of the 19th century that during their life or after at their death offer to the museum a part or all their collection. So it's a reflect of their taste. It's also a great evocation of what was the history of Saint-Omer, because most of the artworks were collected locally in Saint-Omer or in the surround. So our collection is an emanation of the people of the town and the country in the 19th century.
Yeah, it's just amazing that these are basically local collectors. A lot of this artwork, and you brought it all together here in the museum, which is. Well, listen, folks, I got to tell you, you got to come to Saint Omer and visit the Musée Saint-Denis. Saint-Delin? Saint-Delin. My French is non-existent. Romain has given me, we've spent a couple hours here. You could spend a couple days going through the whole collection here and seeing the very diverse and interesting things, from the woodworking, the furniture, the ceramics, the artwork, the paintings, the sculptures, the remnants of various buildings from different centuries. It's just been, it's really amazing. So I want to thank you, Romain, for taking the time to do this. And I certainly, again, I say, come on over and see it. So any closing words from you, Romain?
Welcome to Saint-Omer and discover the museum, but also the cathedral and all the city, which is to be seen.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a great interview, and look forward to getting this out to the folks. So there you have it, folks. 2 spectacular collections in the city of Saint-Omer. So that wraps up episode 141 of the Two Old Bucks. I have good news and bad news following that. The bad news is my wife and I got sick last night, stomach bug or something. Anyway, we will not be able to attend the dinner at Mary Meany's. That's kind of in our honor. So Paul Triguet, who you've listened to in a past podcast, has graciously volunteered to ask questions and record them so that we may put them on the Old Bucks. So thank you, Old Buck Paul, for that. We look forward to for you standing in for the Two Old Bucks. So till next time, folks, this is Old Buck Dave. We're hoping to get better and better every day. Take care. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.